Up everybody, this is Luis Monda here, the world famous Johnny Toco's Boxing Gym, and this is the Surviving in Combat Sports YouTube series. So today we're going to discuss gym hopping. The reason we're going to discuss this is one, it was one of the inquiries that I got through the ShareDog forum. The other reason is because it was actually brought to my attention yesterday that a former fighter of mine has been kind of doing this, and my other students were asking me about it in terms of how it works, that a fighter is at this gym, is at that gym, is at another gym, da 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 da. So I'm going to begin by saying that there are fighters who are what we call nomadic. Like they don't have any particular attachment to any particular gym. I've even met trainers who are like that. That their idea is that they're going to take their fighter here, there, another place, either for sparring or to use different, like as an example, Toko's, we're a tiny gym. We don't have like a lot of exercise equipment or weights or anything like that. So if that's what you're looking for, we don't really got that. I mean, you kind of have to improvise if that's what you want. You have to be creative to train here. You have to think about, things you can do that don't need a lot of stuff. So like say if you want to swim, you're not going to swim here. If you want a running track at the gym, you do your boxing at, there's facilities that offer boxing that have those kind of things on premises. So I can understand doing that, and there was a little while where a couple of my fighters did the same thing. But gym hopping in terms of the phenomenon where a fighter always thinks that the grass is always greener, meaning they get somewhere and for whatever reason they become a little disenchanted with the environment that they're in, meaning let's say there's a little bit of conflict with the trainer or disagreement with other people in the gym, and they move from gym to gym every single time something like that pops up. There's that, and then there's also the freeloaders, the guys who they stay until they just start to overstay their welcome, and then they go to another place the moment people start asking them to contribute to the environment. So that's the kind of thing that's kind of looked down upon. There's a lot of people in boxing who want something for nothing. Like they want special recognition or special regard from a facility or from a trainer. They want their cake and eat it too. They want to get trained. They want to fight. They want to do all this stuff. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want to be giving back to the environment. And the thing is, these gyms, it's hard enough for us to survive. Like the doors barely stay open half the time, especially in the United States, where boxing is not at the crest of its popularity. It can be hard to keep members in the gym, and if you're not contributing, you're part of the problem. Like a lot of fighters who become a little bit arrogant as they move along, they think that just their presence alone is contributing something. Oh, I'm here, I'm making your gym look good, that's bringing you business. Not the way you think. It's not. Like no gym is getting rich because so-and-so trains there. Like even gyms where famous fighters train, it's very rare that the gym is always going to be packed because of that one guy. I mean, Floyd Mayweather might be able to pull that off, but that's because he's Floyd Mayweather. He wasn't just the highest paid boxer, he was just the highest paid athlete in general. So yeah, that gym's going to have that going on for it, but there's very few gyms that are going to be jam-packed all the time because so-and-so is training there. It's not always enough to sustain a living. And then trainers, like we just don't make that much money. So if you're trying to jump from place to place, trainer to trainer because you're trying to get something for free, you're going to be looked down upon by the business. Like people are going to frown upon that. Like you got no loyalty, you got no reliability. This kind of thing is looked down upon in almost every facet of life. If you think about it, it's unique that in the world of combat sports, people want this to be acceptable. But imagine if you were in a gang, or if you were in jail, or if you were were in a business and you kept jumping around from competitor to competitor, from business to business to business that all do the same thing, or from gang to gang to gang, or in jail, like, like you locked up in prison, I've heard stories about, like the guys who are trying to roll with this group and with that group and the third group, and after a while people are like, this guy's just trying to get over, like he's just trying to get an easy way through. There's people who are cool with everybody, but sooner or later somebody's gonna be like, yo, this is kind of suspect. This dude, like, he wants to roll with everybody, but he don't want to put in the work. And that's the way we kind of look at it in the world of boxing. Like, you want to roll with this place or this place because you feel like you get benefits, but you're not putting in the work to make the place a better place. Like, you're not leading the younger generations, you're not promoting the place, you're not doing the legwork, but you want the gym to support you. You want every gym to support you. You think you deserve that just because you're doing the same thing as everybody else. You might be doing it a little better than most people, but you can kind of see, by what I'm saying, by why that kind of thing might be looked down upon. It's hard to trust. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a business already where people just don't trust people, where everybody's always looking to get something. Everybody's always looking to get paid. Everybody's always looking to get over, to get what they want, make the fight that they want, in the place that they want, for the money that they want. So if you start doing that at the foundation level of just what gym you go to, then yeah, people are going to have a little bit of a problem with it. Like, people ain't going to trust you. People ain't going to, like the mainstays of the sport, who are the most reliable people, who can do the most for you and open the most doors for you, they're going to be like, I'm not going to mess with that kid. That kid doesn't have any loyalty. That kid doesn't have any qualities that make me want to get on his side. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not going to happen. The only kind of people you're going to attract are the exact same kind of people. The same kind of people who, the moment that they can't benefit from your presence, they're going to cut you loose. They're just going to be like, all right, no, we're good. We're good to go. We don't need you anymore. So the way I tell my fighters, my particular fighters, is you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. If you give that kind of thing, like where you're constantly hopping from place to place, that's what you're going to get. If you give that kind of unreliability or lack of loyalty, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get the same thing out of it. Like, you have to give what you want to get. You have to give what you want to receive. Now, that's not to say that you can't go to a place, try something else out. But if you're going to do that, the best way to do it is just be upfront about it. Just be honest about it. Now, I'll use a different example. Like some of you heard about, my fighter Dejan wanted to try training at another gym. Now, initially, when he told me this, he kind of told me in a very, kind of way. So I responded back like that. But then later, somebody else said, hey, you were kind of hard on him. And I said, well, he was kind of hard on me. He pulled that shit on me out of nowhere and didn't discuss it with me, just told me what he was going to do. So what am I supposed to say? But once we hammered that out and kept up communication, I realized what he was trying to do. He had an idea in his head, and I understood the idea. I didn't agree with it, but I understood it. Plus, I had the kid since he's 17 years old. Like, I'm not just going to throw him away or stop talking to him, act like he doesn't exist. There's people I've done that with, but because they really, 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 went too far in the other direction on that. But with him, it was like, the more the line of communication was kept open, the more I realized what he was trying to do. And then I could say, all right, well, if you're going to go about this, here's my thoughts on the matter. And, that is what it is. But what he eventually figured out is that the grass ain't greener. In fact, the place he went to, he didn't really like all that much. And despite the fact that everyone knew who he was, because he's been boxing in the Vegas scene for years, everyone knows who he is, he wasn't received the way he thought he was going to be. He asked me about that. He's like, why would people behave this way towards me knowing who I am? And I said to him, because they know why you're there. Like, you think that people don't know why you're there because you didn't tell them, but people aren't stupid. You know, they can detect if you're there, if you're really honestly jumping ship and you don't ever want to be involved with tocos again, or if you're there to do something and then you're going to go back. Like, they know that. So they know that they're only going to get so much out of you. And because they know they're only going to get so much out of you, they're only going to give you so much. You know, and that's what I said. Like, you attract that. If you put that out there, that's what you get back. So, you know, thankfully he learned that lesson, but there are fighters who don't. And they end up in that nomadic place that we talked about before. You know, and they don't get the support that they want. They tend not to get the support that they want because everybody knows, oh, he's just here. He's just here for the week until the gym owner starts asking him for membership dues, and then he's going to bounce. You know, or he's working with this trainer again for another 3 weeks until the trainer starts saying, hey, you got to pay me, and then he's going to bounce again and go to the next guy. So if that kind of sounds to you like, you know, like gold diggers, that's kind of how we look at it. And that's what you put out there. And from what I understand, it's the exact same in the MMA community. I don't spend a lot of time in MMA gyms, but from what I understand, it's essentially the same thing. Like, I don't think it's as offensive in the MMA community, only because there's multiple things you can get from each gym. But I know that there are gyms here in Vegas specifically that if you're not on their team, you're not on their team. If you're not of their gym and of their team, then they're not going to regard you as well as somebody there who might be a worse fighter than you are. One of my guys that I train is an MMA fighter, and he was training with another striking coach for a little while other than me, and when push came to shove, he wanted his jiu-jitsu coach at his first amateur fight. They wanted him to use the jiu-jitsu coach from their gym. He didn't know the guy, so he's like, I really don't feel comfortable with that. The striking coach said, well, you're the one fighting, you're the fighter, we'll do whatever you want. And then he said, well, then I want my jiu-jitsu coach. And then the striking coach said, okay, well, then I'm not going to corner you. And they had to call me in on the day of the fight. You know, like, I got out of my house, away from my kids, drove all the way down there to corner this dude at the last minute because the striking coach he was working with basically told him to go for himself because he didn't want to hardcore represent their gym. So when you put that out there, that's the kind of thing you can receive. My advice, if you're uncomfortable or if something's going on at the gym that you're at, would be to explore options before thinking about leaving. Maybe there's another trainer there, but at the end of the day, just be upfront about what you're going to do. Just go about that like you would want it done to you. You know, like, just be upfront. Just say, hey, you know, I'm just not feeling it. You know, like, I kind of want to change a pace or just see what else is out there. There are a lot of trainers that are going to get butthurt about that kind of thing, but you're telling them, like, you're being straight about it. You're doing it on the right way from your end of the perspective. So there's not a lot they can say. All they can say is, I think you're an idiot or whatever. But at the end of the day, you're going about it the right way. One of my fighters, my heavyweight, Mark Anthony, he's one of the guys who, he didn't like the way his training was going, and he was here for a year. He didn't like the way his training was going, so he was telling the owner of the gym that he was considering leaving the gym or quitting boxing altogether. And the trainer said, listen, why don't you just talk to somebody else? At the time, his brother was training with me, so we had a conversation, and I left it to him. I said, look, with my program, you can get this, this, and this, and this. If that sounds good to you, by all means, you're more than welcome. If not, I understand. You know, like, if you want to remain loyal or whatever, or if you feel like you're done with this, I get it. But I think you have potential. I think you have talent. So I don't see a reason to quit. He thought about it. It was like a couple of weeks. Then he came and talked to me, and he decided to stay with the gym, but start training with me. And he's won his last 4 fights in a row. So it worked out. You know, it doesn't always work out, but it worked out for him. So that's all it comes down to is, if you're going to do it, be honest about it, be upfront about it, give the kind of respect you want to get, understand the importance of loyalty, and reliability. Like a lot of people don't think that training partners rely on them, but they do. Like they do. You see the gym right now, there's nobody in it. Like if one guy comes in to train for my class and no one else shows up, well, he's by himself. You know what I'm saying? So I have this weird thing where sometimes I think that out of 10 fighters, 8 guys will be like, oh, it doesn't matter if I go to the gym today. Other people will be there. No, and not always, because 9 times out of 10, everybody's thinking that at the same time. So you end up with this. It's not time for my class yet, but I'm saying the gym ends up looking like this, and that gives a bad vibe, and it makes your training partners feel like you're unreliable. You know what I'm saying? And the trainer gets that impression too. And then, like I said, we give you what we get. So if you're a 2-day-a-week guy, or you go over there without telling us guy, whatever like that, then that's what we're going to give back. I'm not going to pay much attention to you, because I don't think that, I don't think you care about what's going on here all that much. In terms of sparring and stuff like that, anytime we need sparring, we try to venture out, or we bring guests here. Like that should be common practice. That shouldn't even be a question. I'm notoriously good for getting my fighters sparring when they need it. So that should just be part of the program. That shouldn't be a reason to drive you away from the gym. But if it is, that's when you got to kind of question where you're at. So as I said, go about it the right way. Be honest, be upfront, give the kind of respect you want, give the kind of loyalty you want. Otherwise, you're going to end up by yourself. This week if you're in Vegas and you're watching this week we got our first Friday coming up, Friday night at 8 o'clock. It's our last first Friday of the year. So please come on down, see what's going on with the amateur team. I have one fighter fighting in the silver gloves on a Saturday. He's going to be sparring Friday night, competing Saturday, because the competition's only 1 minute round, so it's not that big a deal. Then next weekend, we have the last tournament of the year, the Title Nationals here in Vegas on the 15th and 16th. That's what we got coming up. So you probably won't see another episode until after the next 2 weekends, because, the weekends are going to be busy. Unless I can shoot during the day, which I'll try to do. We'll see about it. So thank you for watching. See you next round.